Welcome back, Buffalo Wild Wings, Plymouth. It is the Friday football feast, 5-8 Vikings, Sunday Night Football. Now, we had a deviation last segment where we were talking about college football and your beloved Bama. Another deviation from the Vikings, at least, well, until we get to PA's choice. We call it IHoP. So it's a fantasy segment that we started doing in honor of Paul. And Paul Charchian, which he texted us earlier this morning. He's listening to this show. This was the closest he could basically walk here. Charch could to the Friday feast each and every year. It was his favorite location. But in honor of Paul, we do a fantasy segment. So it's simple enough. It's just touchdowns, 6 for pass or receiving or rushing, and then 4 for passing, etc. But we just pick a player each week. We add up the points, and then we see what's what. Now, last week was super awesome because Scott Fish, kind of in the Paul Charchian Fantasy Football Weekly Covenant, he runs a foundation, and it's called FantasyCares.org.
Yes, sir.
And this is actually a charity, and it's so cool. You think about how much money we'll throw into a $20 league, $50 league, $100 league, and what he started doing years ago was finding ways to, hey, if everyone throws $10 into the kitty, we can support this charity at the end of the league. So while we're all having fun watching our favorite players and teams, there's a charity element to it. And last week, or 2 weeks ago, it was last week. Okay. Last week.
They're all blending together.
They're all bleeding. It's 5-8 fatigue.
5-8 feast.
But Scott Fish said that courtesy of FantasyCares.org, he would like to support the IHoP segment. And as part of that, for every point each of us scores, not just the winner at the end of the season, but each point all of us score over the course of this year, Fantasy Cares is going to offer $50 to the charity of our choice.
$50 per point.
Per point. And so you have the Kyrie Jackson Foundation, which is what Alec Lewis is supporting. I have Feed My Starving Children. That's an organization I love to support. And then PA chose Second Harvest Heartland for his.
And Second Harvest Heartland is the reason Chris Finch joins 9 to Noon Weekly. And I told the story, last week. Just more quickly, when Nordo and I first met Finch, it was at the State Fair like 5 years ago. And, Chris and I are about the same age, both from the East Coast, both love the NBA. So Chris and I hit it off immediately. And he's like, I'll come on the radio show every single week if you want. And I'm like, okay, that feels like I got to go around the sales staff and ask for 50 large. And then he let me know, no, I'm on the board for Second Harvest Heartland. Let's just talk about that occasionally and we're good. So earlier this week, I told Chris on the radio about FantasyCares.org. And my group is Second Harvest Heartland. I'm winning with 54 points. Alec has 42. Nordo has 40. Yeah. And that FantasyCares.org is putting up $50 per point. I mean, he just cut me right off and said, whatever number you finish with, Paul, I will match.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, like, my number right now is at $2,700. So they're $5,400. And we're at $7,300 between three of us with 4 weeks to go. So about the only mistake I made Tuesday with the Finch chat and FantasyCares.org is I asked him off the cuff, all right, well, then you get to pick a receiver this weekend. I caught him off guard. I mean, he's like, I said, but you can't pick Eagles, man. It's his favorite team. So he said, all right, George Pickens. I'm like,
no, he didn't.
Yeah, that's special. Cool. They're playing the Vikings, so
yeah,
I need to root for him to amass a lot of points for IHOP. Meanwhile, all of us want the Vikings to win. But in honor of Finchy, we're going to keep George Pickens as my wide receiver, even though there are others that I probably would use. And I certainly wouldn't use a Cowboy. But Finchy's going to match whatever I finish with for Second Harvest Heartland, Nordo's Feed My Starving Children, and Alec is the Kyrie Jackson Foundation. So that's the bit with IHOP in honor of Paul, FantasyCares.org. Once again, thank you very much for that. Nordo goes first. And who are you going to take and why?
Well, hold on. Just a quick aside here. Mm-hmm. On Sunday night, if George Pickens does find his way into the end zone, is it Dak, fake to Javonte Williams, looks off XYZ, finds Pickens in the end zone? Is it touchdown Cowboys or is it touchdown Cowboys?
It's touchdown Cowboys. George Pickens just scored his second touchdown. The Vikings still lead by 6. And Finch, trade for Kobe White right now.
Okay, I love that.
We'll be back on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings audio network, driven by The Athletic.
I like that. If Vikings fans get paid and Pickens can get Second Harvest Heartland paid, then everybody's a winner. For me and Feed My Starving Children this week, gentlemen, we are supporting one Puka Nacua.
And Nordo already has generated $2,000 for Feed My Starting. I mean, that's even just being in last, a couple of touchdowns out of it. That's still $2,000 right there, man. That's cool.
Yeah, being in last stinks, though. I need to do better for Feed My Starving Children. And Puka Nacua is going to do it at home on Sunday afternoon against the Lions. I know that Devontae is getting a lot of the touchdowns. This is an opportunity for explosives with that uber-injured backside of the Lions defense.
Yeah.
Puka, his scoring comes in bunches. You saw it he went back-to-back twice earlier this year in touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns last game. And the reason I say that this is an opportunity for explosives is I think Devontae really just owns inside the 20, the weighty downs in the low red.
Weighty downs.
I like Puka finding his way in once or twice on Sunday against the Lions.
And for us, viewing it from afar with Alec and I both in Texas, Nordo back here, we will be thinking, you ready? Go on and Puka. Puka.
Puka till you're satisfied.
Whatever it is. With
Puka.
that, it's Do It by BT
be very
Express,
breathy.
old school song.
I wasn't going to try.
It started with Tua. If you want to be along with the bit. Puka Nacua for Mad Producer. Alec Lewis, go ahead and tickle the fancy. Who do you like?
Yeah, I feel like if I was doing this, if I was smart, I would just look up like who are the highest projected receivers. And
you're smart.
But I don't do that. I just pick somebody that I feel is going to work. Mm-hmm. This week I'm taking Jacoby Myers.
Who?
Jacoby Myers.
Well, you know this is for charity.
Yeah. Jacoby Myers was acquired by the Jacksonville Jaguars right at the deadline. He scored 3 touchdowns in 3 straight weeks, and he's been huge for that offense. You know this, PA.
I do.
I have been on the Jaguars since the summer. Like, I remember we had a conversation at the TCO Performance Center where I said it was like if you could take a team's over-under this year, it would be the Jaguars.
Yeah, I remember that.
I've really liked them, and I feel like Jacoby Myers has given them a lot offensively. Again, 3 touchdowns in 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
So that's my pick.
In fairness, though, being high on the Jags and all that and joking, this is your second Jag that you have taken in 2025. They're playing the Jets. I don't think the Jets have an interception this year on defense.
Well done.
They play man cover. Aaron Glenn is like stuck in 1999 where like he just wants to play man coverage the whole game. And it just doesn't happen.
Great franchise.
And you guys know Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence had maybe the best game of his career last week.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of betting on that. Their OC, Grant Udinski.
I kind of like Cohen, by the way.
Good offensive mind.
He's definitely done a good job early on there, but
he's recovered from the Duval. I think he's recovered from that.
Well, it was going to take a lot to recover from that, but
true.
Their OC, Grant Udinski, used to be in the Vikings building. Grant was a valued member of the pass design. He's brought a lot of the passing wherewithal down to Jacksonville and Duval, and so Jacoby Myers is my pick.
My selection per Chris Finch, George Pickens, wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. Go, Georgie. And I got Pickens. Jacoby Myers goes the way of Alec Lewis. And Puka till you're satisfied for Eric Nordquist. FantasyCares.org. Support it if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
It supports the Friday Football Feast. And we kind of are in unison with adoration for things like this, and certainly Vikings football.
Is Jay Ward going to be lining up across from George Pickens?
Well, I'm not privy to share that information, Mr. Alec Lewis. I'm looking for Fabian Moreau to shut him down.
Let's just say you've watched practice in the last couple of days, and you may or may not have seen the defensive alignment. Mm-hmm. Like,
Did you hear X's and O's or listen back to any part?
Yeah, I listened to most of it.
11 o'clock on Tuesday.
Yeah, I listened to most of it.
You started the conversation.
Yeah,
I think those names came up early, right?
Jay Ward nug.
The sack.
That's 5 and 8 radio. You start right there.
You were asking him to begin the conversation about Jay Ward acquiring a sack.
He brought
and
it
then
up.
Fabian Moreau's defense, and I'm thinking, holy cow, we are at the. I mean, it's not nothing to get like it is what
I
it is.
got you.
It's like we're.
Well, why don't you tell the crowd where it went from there?
Well, yeah. Then you guys got into 9, and I was like, I went and I leaned forward to my chair, like, all right, this is highly entertaining.
Were you surprised by that you saw so much Jay Ward specifically in certain packages playing corner or being in that spot? And Bursic earlier in the week, he's talking about like inverting safeties. This looked a little bit different. This looked like that was actually an intentional spot where Isaiah Rodgers is on the wrong side of the white line waiting for his chance to come in and nickel in other spots.
That's what it felt like. Jay Ward was essentially like the boundary cornerback, which was interesting. Now, I will say this. There was a lot of pre-snap shenanigans going on in that game.
Last 2 games.
Like there were, like Chaz Chambliss would run out there and then not be in the game. Tavier Thomas.
That could have just been a mistake.
And I don't know what was happening. There's the TV timeout game he's playing.
Yeah, they're playing like a pre-snap, but I don't know what the deception. Like, do I think Cliff Kingsbury was shaking in his boots because Chaz Chambliss is running out to the number?
I got to put Ertz in to take Bates out.
Yeah, like, oh my goodness, how am I possibly going to recover here? He probably was shaking in his boots because Brian Flores was running cross dog blitzes up the middle.
Either that or after he got fired from the Cardinals, he went to Thailand by himself for 2.5 months and he found himself missing that.
Was that Chris Thomason? But by the way, I consider myself, you have kids, you have families, real life, fun life, doing radio and stuff. Like, I feel like I have a fair amount of bandwidth. But when you were doing X's and O's, speaking to the coach, and after we get through Moreau, we get to 9 and the memes and all that, I think it was towards the end, talking about the TV timeout thing, like, I'm just picturing, like, as the head coach, like, he's got all these things that he's dialed in on a week-to-week basis. Mm-hmm. He's even thinking about taking L's during TV timeouts because the defense can have as many people out there as they want, but the offense can't.
I don't want to run the risk of being like the Tennessee Titans sideline analyst and getting kicked out of the chat or off the charter, so we'll just land the plane on this one like this. That's not the first time any of us have heard about this TV timeout run out to the numbers thing. And I think we're going to see it and hear more about it on Sunday night. Why? Because the TV timeouts are longer. It's pushing the envelope. It's something you can do to counter at a dramatic advantage other teams have with their huddles.
Well, he's got thoughtful answers, but this was like a passionate 90. It was clearly not the first time it's been engaged in.
Oh, no.
Because it was a passionate 90 seconds. Like, this whole thing sucks.
So did it surprise you at all with Jay Ward? I mean, it's like when he blitzed in, who they played before Green Bay, Baltimore? Okay. So he blitzed, or Chicago. He blitzed in a game and almost got there.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, all right, well, on the game calling depth chart, I got to have some sack intel. Like for Jay Ward, he doesn't have an NFL interception. So if he picks one off, you'll hear his last interception was 2022 against Mississippi State at LSU. First interception in 3 years, something like that. Well, I want to do the same thing with the sack. And so then I looked back through LSU. No sacks. I looked back Colquitt County High School in Georgia and found the game logs. Took me about 15. No sacks.
That's an insane.
So finally in
Appleton.
Appleton.
Know what the youth leagues are?
And so finally in Appleton, after our buses got to the hotel, I found Jay and I said, "When's your last sack, man?" He goes, "I've never had one." I go, "What? Middle school?" He goes, "No, never. I've never sacked a quarterback in my life." So that's what I was sharing with O'Connell, 5 and 8 radio, to distract before the inevitable. Well, the 9-bit sucks. Let's talk about that. It does.
Well, what if when we get to do Vikings Christmas and we write the 12 days and Jay Ward's
finally?
How about that?
I love that.
4 running high crosses.
Okay,
3
see,
vertical routes,
that's why I clipped on you, because that's what happened last week off the radio. When you started the bit, now all of a sudden it's like 5 measly wins. No, Alec, we write the song. Okay.
No, but I will say I was shocked when Jay Ward was out there in the first snap of the game playing cornerback. I do think he adds a level of explosiveness in the secondary that this team has needed.
Right. What about the ability to tackle?
Well, I mean, that's critical.
I'm not trying to get negative, but this team has struggled with tackling all season long. So, I mean, look at it from that angle.
Most of that has taken place when the defense has been on the field way, way, way too long.
And that's a fair point, too.
But it has been a common thread, for better or for worse. But just to close here on Isaiah Rodgers, Nordo said something earlier that I forgot to bring up earlier in the week. And you said it, like Ward's in and Rodgers on the sideline. Okay, now when we're in Seattle, I mean, he got pulled. Okay, he got
looked like
yanked.
that, yeah.
I mean, I put my headphones on Flores, and again, I want to stay in the Charter chat, so we'll just stop sharing right there. But no, he got pulled in that game. But now it's become a thing where he's coming out every so often. He's our best corner this year. Like why?
Isaiah Rodgers is?
You don't think he is? I mean, it's not that most highly rated race in the history of the Kentucky Derby, but why is he getting pulled out?
Well, the tackling.
Yeah.
There were in Seattle.
Yeah.
There were 4 missed tackles,
and that was early in the game.
But here's the thing I'm going to say: in the Bears game on the edge, Isaiah Rodgers had a real tough collision. And believe it, like he had to go to the medical tent after. So part of me wonders if in the following week
he hit Komet high.
Yeah,
he didn't hit him the right way, and Isaiah took the worst of it.
Yeah, and he even went still as he hit the turf. It was kind of surprising.
So you're right, it was. So part of me was wondering the following week is the tackling because he's trying to guard against that type of situation happening again. Now, I mean, that's always the question with some of the undersized corners like him. You can have the speed, you can have the toughness, you can have ball skills, but are you willing to run up and hit? And in this day and age, when the ball is finding the sideline as much as it is, it's a pivotal point of the game, pivotal point in defense.
Yeah.
And the way the Cowboys play, they're going to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens in space. And it is going to be an incumbent upon those guys, Byron Murphy, Jay Ward, Isaiah Rodgers. If those guys aren't tackling on the edge, we are not going to have an enjoyable night at AT&T Stadium in that press box.
Okay, so to land the plane on wide receivers as part of, in honor of Paul, our IHoP segment, fantasycares.org. Thank you very much. We don't need really any form of explanation here. Why? Because we don't have time. But I want to hit you guys with this anyway. Because generally, like with our baby fantasy game, if it's tight ends, and we'll talk about tight ends around the NFL, running backs, same thing, stuff like that. Well, this is wide receiver. So I'm going to lay out 5 wide receiver names, and if you could have them right now for your favorite team, how would you prioritize them? And here are the names. Wide receivers, who is the best and why? And then just do your best to rattle off a list. Here are the 5. Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka till you're satisfied, and CeeDee Lamb. Those 5. Who's first, Alec? Who's the best and why?
Justin.
Okay, you. I'm
Justin.
Okay, and so you got Justin 1. How do you go 2, 3, 4, 5?
Man, it's so tough. Probably Chase.
Probably Chase.
Then I might honestly.
Are you offended, either one of you, if somebody puts Chase ahead of Jefferson?
Not really.
No,
I'm not.
No. I will say though,
lockstep.
Justin Jefferson yesterday, Ben Gessling of the Star Tribune tweeted the quote. Justin was asked about leadership, and he gave this incredible off the cuff quote. Justin, the maturity level all year.
Damn.
I don't think you're going to find anybody in the NFL who at that level who can display this amount of maturity amid this situation.
When he didn't speak to the media after the Seattle game, you were put on trial in Covenant Court for having a significant problem with it.
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with it. It was notable. It was notable.
It is.
It was notable because of how
you were
much.
Not guilty.
Because of how much he does with the media. For him not to do something was notable for sure. But I'd say.
Well, you got the exacta. Let's go trifecta, superfecta, and pentafecta.
Justin, Chase. I might go CD, frankly.
I'd go Puka.
Wow, CD third.
I like.
What about Jackson Smith and Jigba?
He's great.
McVay is probably.
Unless you get flummoxed by Flores.
Smith and Jigba is unbelievable. I also think that he's a product of what they're trying to do offensively with Kubiak's offense and the best utilization. That doesn't mean he's not awesome, right? I mean, Justin Jefferson statistically with Kirk in this offense has been pretty good, and Darnold last year. I just think McVay uses Puka in every possible way, in every possible scenario.
And he can block.
And he is absolutely a physical, I mean, he's a thoroughbred.
So is Jamar.
He's tough to bring down. I think Puka's the third best of that group.
So is Smith and Jigba. So is CD.
Well, what about? I mean, I feel like you let. What about Amon-Ra? Is he not in that mix?
I thought about it. Yeah,
Amon-Ra's pretty good.
Numbers wise, I think he would be. I think if you put Amon-Ra St. Brown with these 5, he would go 6th.
What about Jalen Naylor?
Naylor?
No, I'm kidding.
I think he's in a match race with Cavante Turbin for 29.
What about Ryan Flournoy? Look,
if he gets on the field, assuming Dallas, you think CD's going to play this weekend?
He is. Yeah. He's playing.
Yeah,
I don't know how because he got concussed in the game and did the fencing position, and now all of a sudden he's already out of the concussion protocol, which I've wondered all year. It feels like the protocol is kind of less a protocol than it's like you're good. And I'm like, I don't really understand how that's working, but whatever.
This is like picturing your favorite, or trying to determine your favorite yacht.
Yeah.
Like all 5 of these are terrific.
Yeah.
So to say that, hey, CD is 5th and try to drag on him, I mean, CD's awesome. So,
awesome. Came out of that Jefferson draft, too, which I do believe is the greatest wide receiver draft in the history of the NFL. So that's some context for that, too. But Puka, damn, man. Puka beat you up in the running game. Now that you mentioned that. All right. When we return, some locker room related drive-bys involving some Texas natives and what it's going to be like going back to Dallas. Who we got here? We got Donovan Jackson, Miles Price, Ben Sims.
Did you get Levi Drake?
No. There are about 7 I talked to, and we'll play those back around the corner. From Buffalo Wild Wings in Plymouth, you're listening to the Friday Football Feast. Yesterday, yours truly opted to go to some of Vikings practice and hang out in the locker room with the likes of Alec Lewis and Ben Gessling and some of our very favorite people. And I had my contraption with me, and I walked around finding a bunch of Texas natives on the Minnesota Vikings and asked them, beginning with Donovan Jackson, left guard, growing up in Texas, Donovan's from Cyprus. You know, what's this America's team vibe like? Is it just nauseating? Is it overbearing? Is it still America's team? And by the way, how hard you getting hit for tickets for this game, given you're from Texas? We begin with Donovan Jackson, and here it is. Donovan Jackson, Cyprus, Texas native. Growing up in Texas, what do the Cowboys mean to the state? And when you're growing up, whether you're a Cowboys fan or not, and you have America's team just like always throwing at you and stuff, what's that like being a Texas native?
Yeah, you know, growing up, it was my grandparents' favorite team. So obviously, like Thanksgiving and all those days was we're watching the Cowboys game, and obviously in the state, man, the Texans are more of a newer franchise for the longest time. Everyone's a Cowboys fan, and so it was huge to the state. Obviously, played in the Cotton Bowl a lot of times in college. Was able to experience AT&T, Jerry's World, all that. It's huge, man. It's really exciting.
And where is Cypress, Texas, compared to like Dallas?
Cypress, Texas is 30 minutes outside of Houston, and so people think it's close. It's not. It's not close at all. Houston's 5 hours from Dallas. So, but it's still close enough to make that drive. So it's still pretty relevant.
But being even closer to, say, San Antonio, Houston, or whatever, I mean, America's team, Dallas Cowboys, it's just everywhere in that state, right?
Yeah, you know, they're obviously been a very popular organization, popular brand for a long time. And so it just resonates with everybody in that state.
Lastly, how hard are you getting hit for tickets for this game?
Pretty hard. I mean, I already told my parents to handle it. I told them make other people buy the tickets. Is that tickets are not cheap. They're not free. I think a lot of people have that misconception that they just give us free tickets. That's not true. So, but I do have a lot of people coming. It's going to be fun.
Ben Sims, a Texas native. In fact, Ben Sims is from San Antonio. So for the tight end, how long did you live in Texas? And when it comes to the Cowboys and the entire state of Texas, San Antonio, Houston, whatever, and America's team, which was forced down our throats for so many years, just what do you think about that whole aura?
Born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. Went to high school in San Antonio, and I went to Baylor University for college. So I've been a Texas kid my whole life. Coming here 3 years ago, it's kind of, I've never been to the Midwest. I've never experienced it, I guess, so to speak. So the last several years of my life has been full of it. But growing up in Texas, like our Texas high school football, us Texans would say we love to brag about it, but we just think that's kind of how it is, having, that sort of culture around the Friday night lights and all that stuff. So football in Texas is always huge, and, there was always more Cowboys fans than there were Texans fans in the state, but I could never tell you why.
So Ben, with the America's team vibe, which may or may not be the case now, but it was a big time branding thing created by Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones done a lot of great things for the NFL. But growing up in Texas, did you notice maybe elementary school, middle school, even high school, that because the Dallas Cowboys are so big in Texas, people pick sides? They're kind of like, I either want to go with the flow or I want to fly right into the face of it.
That's right. It's kind of seems how either you're born into it or you're not. It kind of feels like for most people. For me personally, like growing up, I was never a huge Cowboys fan. I just enjoyed watching the game, and there were some teams around the league that you always watched on Sundays, and same with college. But I'd say from a fan base standpoint, they probably have one of the largest fan bases maybe in the world. They're known for being America's team, and Jerry Jones has built quite a empire, I guess, so to speak, over there. So yeah.
Lastly, how hard are being a Texas native? How hard are you getting hit for tickets this game?
I was with another team to start the year, so we played in Dallas on Sunday night earlier in the year. So we're actually even staying at the same hotel. So we actually kind of knocked some of that out. As far as friends and family wanting to come to the game, they came to the first one.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, thanks, PA.
Ben Sims, tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, kind of an impromptu drive-by. Xavier Scott, just real quick, couple of this is a Fort Hood, Texas native here. How long did you, first and foremost, with Vershawn Lee, did I cut off your conversation? Because if I did, I apologize. Good. So Xavier, Fort Hood, Texas. How long did you live there, and where's Fort Hood like compared to Dallas?
It's about an hour north of Austin. I can't remember exactly where it is from Dallas, but our family's still in Dallas to this day.
Okay, so whether it's you or your family, just the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, branding vibe is how it started. Can't necessarily say that's still the case now, but you still hear about it. Did you notice at any point, in Texas, like when it comes to the Cowboys, that the team is so popular in that state, people would pick sides. They either want to go with the flow, and I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, or they want to fly in the face of it and like a team that plays them.
Yeah, 100%. It makes it like a 50-50. Like people either choose, they're either all in on the Cowboys or all in against them. But that kind of is in the favor of the Cowboys when it comes to just the population, because if they half the people for them, then they're good.
So do you still have family and friends there?
Yeah, I have one of my good friends. He's still down there. I have some family down there as well.
So you, unlike maybe Donovan Jackson and some others I've chatted with, you probably aren't getting hit super hard for tickets?
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, no. I actually have a couple people. It's not too crazy, though. Not too
Better than Maine.
Say what?
Say New Hampshire's better than Maine.
Max Brosmer wants you to say New Hampshire is better than Maine. Can you do that?
I can't do that because it's not true. I don't lie. So.
And look, I don't want.
Who won 3 years in a row? 2 years in a row.
You come here talking about the Cowboys, and Civil War breaks out.
I'm 1-1, so we gotta figure out how we're gonna get that tiebreaker.
Thank you, Max. Max Brosmer, not a Texas native. Thank you. All righty. Wide receiver, kick and punt returner, Miles Price, a Dallas, Texas native. How long did you live in Dallas? And with the Dallas Cowboys? Well, first, how long did you live in Dallas?
All my life, 23 years.
Okay, perfect. This is unbelievable. So the Dallas Cowboys, self-proclaimed America's team. Right. Not necessarily sure that's the case anymore because of social media and, there's other teams and popularity and stuff. But nevertheless, that branding of being America's team. Right. Growing up in Dallas, what do the Cowboys mean to the entire state of Texas?
Everybody love the Cowboys. You got most who love the Cowboys, and if you aren't a Cowboys fan, you hate the Cowboys. everybody who the Cowboys are playing, you're against them. But my whole family, almost my whole family, are all Cowboys fans.
Okay, so growing up in Texas, is it fair to say, like whether you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever, that you're going to get people who live in Dallas and are from Texas, they're either going to go with the flow because that's their favorite team, or they're going to be kind of football counterculture and be like, nah, too many people like this team. I'm actually going to be like, let's say a 49ers fan or a Packers fan or a Vikings fan, you know?
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is. You're either with the Cowboys or you're the hate train. You're part of the hate train. Like some of my family, I got some family who Philly fans. They hate the Cowboys. They're not even from Philly. But
Well, Dallas and Philadelphia, like I grew up in Washington, D.C. So, like, when it was the Redskins, like Redskins and Cowboys, man, that was, when I was growing up, that was everything. Well, now that's not necessarily the case anymore with, like, the Commanders or the WTF, WFT, whatever it was. But when it was Redskins and Cowboys, I mean, that was it. But now it's like Eagles, Cowboys, right?
that's exactly what it is. Eagles versus Cowboys. Or you got your Green Bay versus Cowboys. You definitely got those two.
All right, last one. And I'm asking everybody from Texas the same question. How hard are you getting tagged for tickets being a Dallas, Texas native?
Gosh, look, I had to put my phone on mute. I just stopped answering at this point. I'm like, man, I can't help all y'all now. I can't help everybody, but it's crazy.
Right, but think about it. I mean, not only would you be bringing more Vikings fans into AT&T Stadium, but you'd be bringing more Miles Price fans to get loud in the stands for a kicker punt return touchdown. Think about that.
Listen, when I say I legitimately have probably over 250 people who's coming, like that's simply going because some of them, yes, they're Cowboys fans, but mainly because like they love me. And like, so I have so many people that's going to be at the game.
All right, a couple of things here. 9 to noon needs to have a microphone in front of Miles Price more frequently.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
He's so good.
And so open, but secondly, there are some Vikings getting stuck for some ticket prices for this game, but that's cool because that means purple and gold will have some representation at AT&T Stadium, 7:20 for the Boom on KFAN coming up this Sunday. So the Texas natives are excited to go back home. They generally are.
Hey, can I ask you something dumb and kind of off topic? You mentioned Vikings fans in attendance. How dominatingly Cowboys is the home environment at Dallas Stadium? And clearly that would depend on the opponent, but in terms of just
not super
opposing
loud
fan bases, because I don't hear the roar
right
when I'm watching those games, despite knowing that this thing is a freaking coliseum.
It's Lambeau-esque.
Okay.
Now Lambeau's football Americana.
Yeah.
But it's not the loudest fan base in the history of loud fan bases.
Well, they're all puking outside the Fleet Farm gate. Is usually what is happening.
Or their cheeks are frozen to those aggressive bleachers they just refuse to remove. But it's a great crowd. It's a very dedicated crowd. It's more of a roar or like kind of a din than it is like Arrowhead or Seattle.
Okay.
M&T Bank in Baltimore is the sneakiest for loud crowds, and they're on you because they're close to the bench and stuff.
I think that's how it's built too. I've only been there for Army-Navy games, but that place is loud as bleep, man.
Yeah.
Just the sound and the way that it hits, and it's a cool stadium.
Well, see, like U.S. Bank Stadium with the footprint on which they built it, it's not very big. So, like, it more, instead of going back and out on a big piece of land, it goes up. So they're kind of overhanging on level 3. AT&T Stadium, like Lambeau, I mean, they got a big footprint there, so it's just a massive, massive stadium. That's Sunday at 7:20, and 9 to noon continues from Buffalo Wild Wings in Plymouth for the feast after this. Around the corner, 11:05 or so, we are going to dust off something we debuted last week called Covenant Court. I am the judge. Everybody here at Buffalo Wild Wings, Plymouth, you are the jury. The prosecutor is Eric Nordquist, and standing trial under certain charges that were pretty egregious last week, not so much this week, is Alec Lewis of Anniston, Alabama.
I got to be honest, I would be an awful district attorney or prosecutor because I think my record was terrible. If you have committed
last week,
if you have committed crimes in the way that we're talking about, you want to go up against me. I'm afraid you're going to get off scot-free today. I don't remember what the record was. Didn't feel right.
Marketing director, the answer is yes. He will be there this evening. So that's coming up around the corner. And it's off a victory where you shut somebody out, listening to the podcast, reading the tweets, reading the stories at The Athletic. It took a little longer than it did last week to assemble the discovery required.
I felt like I was pretty positive.
Well, we'll find out about that about 10, 15 minutes from now.
A lot of stretching, potential jury manipulation.
In Covenant
I've
Court.
heard of recent attempts. You can just bring a bag of cash to a juror in a big spot trial and try to get them to go the other way. So I don't have much cash today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry about that.
Or free subscriptions to The Athletic. I mean, that for those here at Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth, I mean,
that's
could be enough.
Stuffer right there.
Earlier we unfurled Vikes Bites, and Vikes Bites always is provided by
Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef.
And one that was left on the proverbial cutting room floor. I'm curious of your opinions on this. It's Vikings Cowboys Sunday night. Which team do you think will have more sacks in the game and why? And I'm going to lay it out like this. The Vikings have 33 into this game. The Cowboys have 29. Dak has been sacked 22 times through 13 games. McCarthy's been sacked 24 times through 7. Now, I mean, the Darisaw piece in this matters. So let's say he plays. So let's put Darisaw in the mix. So we have
our best versus theirs.
Yeah, we have all the full-time members of the Minnesota Moving Company.
And they need Guyton, right?
Yeah,
Guyton, he's
been DNP 2 days in a row. And if they don't have him, their backup is
Noah Thomas
in the ilk. It's Nate.
Nate Thomas.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But he's in the ilk of Justin School.
Okay, School just caught his second spray from Plymouth. And anyway, so who has more sacks and why?
I would take the Cowboys to have more sacks in this game than the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying the Cowboys are going to create more sacks in the game than the Vikings.
What about Quickfire JJ?
Now
Quickfire JJ last game.
Quickfire JJ would be great to see again.
Well, technically that's not a sack. It's just a loss of 2.
I will say Jadeveon Clowney, his availability is going to be important in the calculus. Yeah. But Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Dante Fowler, their rookie Donovan Ezeraku is this rookie edge rusher. He is a pretty good player. So and then JJ McCarthy has just taken more sacks than I feel comfortable. Dak has been really good this year against the blitz. That doesn't mean he's going to be good Sunday night against the Vikings blitzes. Mm-hmm. But I would pick the Cowboys to create more sacks in the game from a quarterback perspective more than anything else.
Yeah, I'm currently in a spot where I would have to agree with that. And part of it is super low-hanging fruit. It's the fact that, last week we saw, I think, what are real measurable steps that J.J. McCarthy took, predicated on the run game. Dig that. And when we're defending Docs after Alec defends himself, we'll talk maybe about what we can do on the ground. But I think overall, over the course of that entire game, I just believe that what we're seeing defensively from the Cowboys, albeit Eberflus's bunch, nothing special statistically, I think JJ hits the turf probably more times than Dak does this week.
Now, with the offensive game plan that was taken by O'Connell and the Vikings last game, do we believe that will be the same approach? And actually, do we believe it should be required to be the same approach against a defense that, I'm not going to say it's completely analogous to Washington because, when you hear me say human nature gets to win, human nature won against the Commanders when the wheels touched down at MSP. That's not going to be the case with the Cowboys on Sunday night. You'll get more of an effort fueled by the crowd. But nevertheless, should the game plan approach that was taken last week almost be required this week?
Yeah, I think so. And when you ask that question, that means heavy personnel and early downs, running the football with some play action off of it, and then late downs, making the picture as clear as possible for JJ when he has to drop back pass.
Yeah.
That to me should definitely be the plan. Now, what I will say is it's much easier for that to continue to be the plan if you lead 14-0 in the football game.
Yep.
You maintain your ability to run the ball. You put the defense on your heels. You create turnovers defensively, which helps your offense. So, like, for me, yes, that should be the plan, but being able to stick to that is going to be all predicated on how the early part of the game goes.
Well, the interesting part about that, though, Alec, is the 14-0 matters, and in the end you win 31-0. On that 19-play drive they had, I think it was 10 touches by the running backs, and then you had a scramble for a third down conversion by J.J. McCarthy. So early in that game, even to get to the 14-0, you had, in some ways, by KO standards, a very unique commitment to absolute, no matter what, we're handing it off to Mason. I think there were, out of the 6 or 7 first downs, 5 of them were runs. And so there was the commitment that got you there, which I think does need to persist. And just think about how different that game could have been, too, if in creating that great third down picture, that JJ wasn't converting what we saw, the 3rd and 8, the 3rd and 9, the tight end inclusion.
It was huge.
That's where I would deviate from the game plan and just wonder, I like the commitment to run and all of that, but what maybe a wrinkle or two is put into the spot this week where we actually are trying to stretch it with number 18 a little bit more versus what we saw, the tight end heavy moments that led to production in the Commanders game.
The other thing I will say, and I've taken some flack for saying this, I didn't feel like
wait until next segment.
I didn't feel like the passing concepts on Sunday against the Commanders were really any different than the concepts that they tried to have JJ throw in Green Bay. The difference for me was the Commanders' defense is really porous, and JJ McCarthy was accurate on the concepts that he had.
Yeah.
So there's been so much made about Kevin O'Connell finally adapted. I really felt like the Packers' game plan was, let's create as many runaways, quick reads as possible. It just, even in that game, J.J. McCarthy struggled a little bit to see the field be decisive and be accurate. And so, for me, as much as the plan, can J.J. McCarthy just be accurate again?
The answer's obvious.
And decisive as much as anything else?
The answer's obvious because he was free ballin'. The headset was a little quieter on Sunday. Maybe there weren't 6 variants to a play. Maybe there were just 2. So I think in terms of adaptation, I agree with you. I think that, in terms of what we're trying to accomplish on these plays, it looked very similar. I just thought the kid was a little faster.
And TJ Hawkinson said yesterday, he was asked about the early part of the game. He's like, yeah, it was a little routes on air-ish. That's what it was. Routes on air-ish, meaning practice. That's kind of
like 707.
Yes,
yeah, people were open,
and that's what it felt like with the Commanders. Wow. So I will be curious. Now, again,
that
this
food
is not
smells delicious.
It does smell great.
Wow.
To not take away from JJ McCarthy, he was more decisive and he was accurate. And those qualities need to be there this upcoming weekend. But I'll be curious with Matt Eberflus, their defensive coordinator, who makes me laugh usually when I listen to him. Matt Eberflus, I will be curious, is he heating J.J. McCarthy up? Is he playing off? Are they playing match coverage? What does that look like? Pure progression? I'm just kidding. Whatever you got to say. But it starts with the accuracy.
The hell was that?
It starts with the accuracy and the decisiveness from JJ.
Yeah, no doubt. Or, like I said to Nordo last Monday, maybe the ruse, maybe the long con here is O'Connell knew Washington had succumbed to human nature when the wheels touched down at MSP. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on tape, and I'm going to throw that thing 90% of the time on national television. And damn it, Jefferson's getting 20 targets whether he likes it or not.
You and I both know that would warm his heart splendidly to be able to do that Sunday night, to air it out, to have the passing concepts deep over the middle, high crosses, screaming, in breakers, running. That's what they would like to
9 routes.
Put 40 points on the board, 25 minutes of possession, 4-play drives.
And there are a couple things. You can't overstate having the 5 offensive linemen, and Ryan Kelly had a dang good game.
He did.
Brian O'Neill was great in the game. Those guys moved people in the run game. And I thought the backs ran really well. Like Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, the vision was good, the burst was good. So, it's not going to be as easy against Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams and Dante Fowler and Donovan Ezeraku. So, getting a push early will be critical.
They played like a team that looked like it had heard or knew, you know what? We don't really want to have the worst home record in the history of this organization.
Yeah.
We really don't want to lose 9 in a row and have the longest losing streak in the history of the team. I mean, it had pop to it. There's no doubt about it.
Get historical here.
Coming up around the corner, something called Covenant Court from Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth. It's the Friday football feast on KFAN.